Hi guys, thanks for visiting my channel f.i.r.e. My name's Gary and I'm documenting my journey towards financial independence. I talk about investing, property and savings, so if this sounds like something you may wish to hear more about, please click the subscribe button below. So today I'm going to be doing a bit of a vlog style video all about how the coronavirus lockdown has been for me as a self-employed person. It's a little bit different to my usual videos, but I thought as this channel is supposed to be documenting my journey, it's only fair I share where I am right now. For any of you that have watched my channel for a while, you may have heard me say that I am a self-employed photographer. I mainly work in the wedding industry, so as you can imagine with everything going on right now, work has been very difficult. The last paid job I did was back in the beginning of March, of which they actually paid 4 weeks prior to the date too, as part of my terms and conditions asked for payment up front. So I have to admit it's been a really tough year. I'm hoping that I'll be back to work soon. Obviously you may have seen yourself on the news, weddings are starting to be allowed again. I think the latest update said you're allowed 30 people at the reception. Luckily I've always been very sensible with money. I've always been quite frugal and always had savings behind me. I also had quite a good balance in my business. Although the situation is obviously awful, it's nice to know that the decisions I've made are not affecting my business and they're not risking my business ending or anything like that. My biggest worries right now are obviously a second wave of the virus coming back. So since lockdown's been in, I have to admit for about a month I got very lazy. I got stuck on the PlayStation quite a lot. I'm embarrassed to admit it, I let my fitness go a bit. I'm usually at the gym 4 or 5 times a week. And I become quite grumpy, to be honest with you. I love the structure in my life. I love the fact that I'm always working towards something. So I've realised that over the last couple of months I've made some active changes to get over these obstacles. So I'm going to list some of the changes I've made since this has all started basically. So one of the changes I've made is I've changed one of my buy-to-let mortgages from repayment to interest only. I know this sounds like such a minimal thing to do. All of my buy-to-let mortgages are on a repayment structure. One day my property is going to be outright owned by me and provide me with full profit. Because of everything going on right now, I have done exactly the opposite and I've made one of the mortgages onto interest only. What this has done for me is it's freed up a little bit more cash flow in that property, and although it's only got me about another £400 a month, it's obviously quite a nice change and much needed money right now. I checked before changing it to interest only that I still have the option to overpay should I be financially able to, but the biggest thing for me right now is just freeing up a little bit of money and basically treating my finances a bit like a business cash flow really. The second thing I've done is I've stopped booking holidays. Now this sounds like an obvious one, obviously with everything going on I haven't been able to travel, which has of course helped no end, but I have to admit it's probably my biggest expense is I travel a lot. For any of you that have viewed my Instagram page, you'll see pictures from all around the world and it's my hobby really, it's what I love to do. It probably has taught me a little bit that I shouldn't go on holiday quite as much as I do. Of course it's quite a large cost and maybe it's one I could try and cut down on a little. The third change I've made is I've started some side hustles, so I've started testing websites for money, surveys, I've started Amazon Associates, so I have some links in the description below for some of my favourite books and equipment I use, and I've also recently started matched betting, which I'm quite enjoying, and so far it's been quite profitable, to be honest with you. I'll put a link for my referral code to the matched betting website that I use. I'd highly recommend it. I've made about £200 in a couple of weeks. Next up, I have obviously started this YouTube channel. I was probably about a month into lockdown and like I said, I was in a bit of a downward spiral, getting a bit grumpy, getting a bit lazy, becoming a bit of a slob really. So I thought why not make the most of my time and talk about something that I'm so passionate about. I'm absolutely loving making the channel. I literally think every day of different ideas that I want to talk about. It's probably the biggest advantage the lockdown's brought to me is it's freed up the time for me to pursue this sort of dream of mine. I've always wanted to start a YouTube channel and I'm absolutely loving making this content right now. And then the final change I've made is just being a bit more sensible on my day-to-day spending. So I've noticed that my girlfriend and I were spending a lot on food, for example, so we've just tried to be a bit more sensible with that. We would often go out and do things that cost money. We've definitely been a bit more sensible with that too. Although we've always loved going out walking and things like that, we've probably done a lot more things that don't involve any money. So next up I'm going to talk about what has the lockdown taught me. So probably the biggest thing that it's taught me is not to take my work for granted. Because of the type of work I'm in with weddings, I have to admit I get booked very early, so often I have work 2 or 3 years in advance. So I've always had the luxury of knowing what my diary is like. if that makes sense. So when I knew I had a quiet month, I could then really push the marketing and really push for trying to get bookings for that date. And this could be done 12 months before I ever hit that date. So I've never really gone through a period of lack of work. Obviously before, I've always sort of been pre-warned that that quiet spell was coming, and I've made an active push to fill that quiet space. So this has been the first time that I ever feel like the sort of carpet's been pulled out from under my feet, and it's been quite a big lesson, really. Like I said, it's taught me not to take my business for granted. It's taught me that I'm so thankful that I'm making these financial decisions and I have got some savings behind me. If I was living like so many people out there that are paycheck to paycheck, I would be in serious trouble right now. I seriously would be screwed, to be honest with you. I do not know how people that are living paycheck to paycheck are surviving right now, and I feel really, really sorry for them. Next thing it's taught me is that I need income protection. Right now I haven't got any income protection cover, which is probably a really stupid thing I've never thought about. Starting my business at only 17 years old, I probably didn't think I ever needed it. I always thought I was quite young and fit and healthy. I've never been unwell, luckily, touch wood. So I've never considered income protection, and it wasn't until quite recently I had a meeting with an advisor, and he sort of said, like, what's your plans for if you ever weren't able to work? Of which I answered, well, I haven't got anything. Of course I would have income from my rental properties and I'd have the savings that I've got behind me, but right now, if say tomorrow unfortunately I was taken ill, I wouldn't have any source of income enough to carry me through for the rest of my life, I don't think. Next thing it's taught me is by working less, it allows me more time to chase creative side hustles that I'm enjoying. Like I've said on this channel a million times before, my dream of financial independence is not to stop working because I love my work, but to be honest with you, my dream is probably to not work as much as I have to right now. As you can imagine, weddings are long days, you know. Sometimes I'm at the bride's house at 8 in the morning and I'm not leaving till 10, 11 o'clock at night sometimes. So it's not something I want to continue doing sort of 50, 60, 70 weddings a year for many, many more years. I think I'd enjoy it even more if I could maybe get my work down to maybe 20 weddings a year. With that spare time, I definitely plan on pursuing more side hustles, things that I really enjoy doing, and if they earn me a little bit of money, then fantastic. And then the final thing it's taught me is the fact that I'm actually really passionate about this YouTube channel. As I've already said, I had the idea of the channel for ages, probably well over a year, for just this financial channel. And it was at the start of lockdown, I was talking to one of my closest friends, Graham, and he sort of gave me the kick up the bum I needed of why the hell are you not getting on with it. I then spoke to another friend of mine, Liam, who's also got a YouTube channel, and he also asked why not just give it a go. And I couldn't really give them an answer of why I'm sitting on my bum and not doing anything. So I thought, do you know what, I'm gonna give it a real good crack, and I'm so glad I did. I'm absolutely loving putting content out. I'm enjoying talking to all the different people I'm talking to. I didn't realise how much I would get out of this experience, and it's taught me that no doubt about it, I will be continuing with this YouTube channel. So I hope today's video has been interesting for you. It is very different to my usual content, much less structured and more me just talking to you and telling you a little bit about where I am right now. Things have been tough over the last few months, and I've always promised that I'm documenting my journey, so this needs to be shared with you. There's no point me hiding here and pretending like everything's hunky-dory and I haven't had any financial difficulties or any struggles ever. Being a self-employed person is not easy sometimes. Fingers crossed we're getting through the other side of this awful pandemic. Again, it's not because I'm struggling in business, it's because of these poor people that are getting so ill from this all. So yeah, that's my latest life update, I suppose, on my finances. If you'd like to leave a comment below, tell me maybe what challenges you faced during lockdown. I'll be interested to hear how it's affected your life. And apart from that, I'll speak to you really soon, guys. Take care.